I will explain the situation. The good people of Gaza have suffered an extermination program that is still underway for the last 2 years. They were set up and an abomination took place that will never be forgotten. Okay, the situation is exactly as follows. The people of Gaza have no choice, but to side with Israel. That is the bottom line. Now, I will explain. People of Israel are the good guys. They're coming to the rescue of Gaza. Yes, they're coming. They're rescuing Gaza, and Gaza has no choice but to recognize this fact and go along with it. And most of them already do. The reason for this is that the good guys are Israel. To disbelieve that the good guys of Israel would cost them the very high price of disbelieving Yoko Ono, and not one of them is willing to pay that price. They would all rather lose 35 members of their family than go against or disbelieve Yoko Ono. Because Yoko Ono is an honorary Zionist high priestess of parochialism. Now, the way that we know that this is true is that Leslie Katz is the good fairy of the script by Gail Burston. Now, what is the script by Gail Burston? It's the story of why and how Yoko Ono claims John Lennon was killed, and she considers it a very, very beautiful script. And Leslie Katz is the good fairy of the script. Katz is exactly the same as Israel Katz. She's cut from the same cloth. She's an Israeli Zionist from Australia with red hair, kinky red hair. She is the starlet of the script by Gail Burston, which explains why they killed John Lennon. And Yoko Ono says it's a very beautiful story. And all of the feminist intellectuals of Palestine went along with this. They all said, yes, that's right. Israel is the hero of the Texas school book, and it cannot be questioned. So, Roger Waters, Paul McCartney, Peter Gabriel, Robert Fripp of King Crimson, Donald Trump, all stood as one with Leslie Katz, the starlet of honor of the script by Gail Burston, in which they claim John Lennon was killed. And the evil one in the script was Jimmy Creary, me, because I did not go along with her attempts to seduce me into date rape. I refused. She was still a virgin, although we were buck naked for every night for 2 years together. She was still a virgin after we broke up. So that makes me what class? That makes me the evil one. And all of Palestine went along with that. They all knew, all the sandbaggers went along with that. And if you don't say that I am the evil one, you are anti-Semitic. And that if you don't agree that I deserve this, you are anti-Semitic. If you don't agree that even though I had nothing to do with it, I therefore had everything to do with it, you are anti-Semitic. In other words, I was poached from a Pittsburgh public school. The facts are on record. I was poached by men named Ronnie and Casper, just like Reagan and Weinberger, by a big man named Donald, who broke my sister's ribs. But A general of the U.S. Armed Forces believes that I'm a traitor because I named Donald, Ronnie, and Casper. Donald broke my sister's ribs. I'm a traitor for saying that. So we know the situation is that I'm going against the hard line, the line that's been drawn by the NAACP, going crossing the line drawn by Palestinian feminists and Gazan feminists when I say that Donald broke my sister's ribs. I'm a traitor. I'm an anti-Semite. And Gaza has no choice but to go along with this. And the reason why Gaza has no choice but to go along with this is because the script was not really just a script, but it was a prescriptive act of warfare justifying what class? The AIDS attack. So when Carnegie Mellon University and the city of Pittsburgh were warned that men named Ronnie and Casper and Donald had brutally tortured the child of a senior faculty member who was, after all, murdered and poisoned by the same gang, what did they do? They brought in Yoko Ono and they brutally tortured and poisoned me. And they threatened to poison me tomorrow where I go to eat lunch. And they did so openly on the air of social media. They murdered Ryland Crary. They exterminated Gaza, but they are the heroes. And you must remember that they are the heroes. Because if you don't remember that they are the heroes, you're going against what class? The will of John Lennon, as incarnate and walking as if human, a god among men in the form of Paul McCartney. You would be going against Yoko Ono. You would be going against the idea of poisoning a deaf old man with Parkinson's in the lunchroom. And you mustn't do that. You must bless the Israelis. You must say full bless to Israel Katz and Leslie Katz, who proved, with the help of Robert Fripp's Mysterian guitar, that virginity proves rape. And how did they do that? By implanting a nerve agent whipped up by a coroner, endorsed by the Black Panthers, and an Attica State prison psychiatrist who was a Zionist, and implanted it in a brutally tortured deaf child who weighed less than 100 pounds in order to terrorize him into seizures. And when he went into seizures, King Crimson held their nose and dropped their picks. As one, all of them, fluttered like a leaf in the wind, their picks. Because the deaf kid with an implanted neuroplasm was a tea kettle that went off, as they say at Carnegie Mellon. He began having seizures. Ha 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 ha. He began having seizures. Ha ha ha. And this is what the people of Palestine and Gaza were laughing, not at class. What? They were laughing with. That's right. They were laughing with the Israelis. So you can't adjust your concern to say Israel is genocidal towards Gaza, because Gaza sided with Israel in the AIDS extermination program. So everything is even and it's happily ever after. So kiss and make up now, class. And all this is perfectly clearly proven by the record of James McRyland Crary at Carnegie Mellon Student Union Magazine, by the ceremonial mound across the street put up by the U.S. military, by the supernova cosmonaut rave, by the fact that the children of Gaza didn't mean a single thing to Adrian Belew when he held his nose and dropped his pick. They actually chose somebody named Robert Cart to shoot over Robert Fripp's postcard to me, which the VA wants to auction to raise money for kidneys. To shoot, they got a man named Robert Card to shoot Boom, 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 boom. A bowling alley full of deaf kids in May, and not one single woman, not one single, not one single woman. All of the women I slept with did so consensually. All of them did. Not one single woman who even didn't sleep with me. Not one. Not one of the joyriders like Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton had the dignity to say, but abortion wasn't Jimmy. It was the decision of the girls. And Jimmy went along with it by sleeping with them when they got horny. Not one of them did. What they did was they made me out to be the evil one, who was a predator, who was sleeping with girls in hit and run situations and leaving them to blackmail my mother, demanding money. So all of the blackmailers of the National Organization of Women united in the name of what class? Palestinian support for Israel. For Israel Katz and Leslie Katz. You must understand that you support Israel. The people of Gaza have pre-forgiven Israel. That's what Robert Fripp specializes in. He calls the whole thing prepaid. For example, they tortured me and I tattled on them. Therefore, I am a treasonous snitch. But Amnesty International says that I prepaid for being a treasonous snitch by being deafened and dragged through glass by Saul Brecker and Ian Wattenmaker. Oh, so Gaza is pre-forgiven for being exterminated by England, and they must go along with this. They must understand that this is the truth and the inner light. And Pope Francis worked with Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese was deep in verse and script. All of Hollywood pulled this storyline about Lenin siding with the people who killed him. So if Gaza wants to be good martyrs, they will also side with the people who exterminated them. So get it through your head, Gaza. You are like John Lennon. You are the story of the bird. You are going to fly on into the unknown, as Gail Burstyn puts it. And Yoko Ono weeps for the birdies as they fly off into the unknown. We too will reach the unknown, she says. And these are people who have exterminated almost all of the bees. These are people who have used viruses on us in genocide. And we have black people like Cory Booker and Kamala Harris announcing absolute joy in giving them the keys to the nuclear asylum and the bank, throwing money at them. Here, take everything from everybody, take everything from everybody. Yippee! We're flying off into the unknown with the story of the bird. So you support the people who killed John Lennon like he did, or else you'll be real sorry. You'll be sorry. I don't know how sorry you'll be, but you'll be real sorry. You'll be more sorry than you already are.